Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and we have quite the replay for you today. We've got a matchup on Horn between Cheesy Ringhole, pardon me, and Chief Cook. They are playing the British and Russian civilizations, respectively. My name is generalSpades. I'm joined with the Grande Sheep himself. I wish I could say sheep in Espanol, but don't remember that word. Dunamai, how you doing
Oveja.
today?
I think it's oveja in Espanol.
Oveja?
Oveja. I am doing fine. How about you, sir?
We are living life, surviving, playing Age of Empires, trying my best not to play Ottomans, but, it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta stop APMing and just win. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this matchup on Horn. Horn, a very interesting map. Um, Given that you start with this catamaran, and there's lots of fish available, and the map kind of sucks. But here it is in the ranked 1v1 pool. This is, I think, one of the more hated maps in the pool. Dunamai, can you confirm or deny?
I don't know. I kind of enjoy it, actually. I love the trickle of wood. In that map, you start more often than not with a trickle of wood that is heavily guarded, but that you can more often than not get with any explorer. And you have a small sheep battle, and that is cool. I like it.
Yeah. Little early game battles that you don't see very often, I guess, on any map really, because the explorers kind of tend to stay away from each other as often as possible. And actually, look at this: the explorer getting on the action, throwing a torch, and that catamaran will go down. But let's talk about the matchup: Russia versus Brits. Charlotte Boats is the name of this deck, so we'll expect to see him take a dock. He's got market and rendering plant and caravels and a frigate, and well, that's it in terms of water cards. But while we look at the decks, Dunamai, do you possibly have the Civ grid up, or you can tell me age 2 if you think this is
I
Brit or Russia favored? Because I
I
actually
would
don't know.
say, off the top of my head, I would say it's Russia favored, but I think it's a balanced matchup. But let me check the.
Well, the
Civ
deck name is Age 2 here. It looks pretty standard, to be honest with you. Lots of longbow upgrade cards. He's got actually more
Yeah,
Musk upgrade
it is
cards than
Russia
he
favored
does. Is
and
Russia
heavily
favored?
so.
Okay.
44 win rate for percent win rate for British.
Okay. Um, which is actually kind of interesting because you might not assume that, given that Brits has a massive early game eco advantage, given the fact that they can spawn villagers from their houses, and Russia tends to you know underscore. Plus, they train villagers a little bit more slowly on
Uh,
on
I
average.
think it has a lot to do with Brits' tendency to open with Musk and the Strelid being a very cost-effective counter. And the fact that Brits also is slow to start compared to Russia,
That is
very
true.
aggressive start.
There's some good trade-offs there. So, anyways, Russia favored. You said relatively significant too. I think 56% win rate at these players' elos, which if we haven't mentioned it already, is about 1500. In transition, Russia has a dock immediately, which makes sense. Distributivism and building the dock instead of the blockhouse actually saves you wood. So a little bit greedy for Russia, but he's up against Brits, and I think that's going to be all right for him. Brit aging up with the governor, and I'm assuming Russia's going with the the quartermaster. Yep.
Um, Russia has a very underrated water play. Um, they don't have trivial. They do have distributivism, so you already have a bit of excess wood. You also start again with that trickle of wood on that map. And if you have the catamaran, if you win the catamaran fight, you can actually get ahead and have the ability to scout any, caravel counterplay or stuff like that.
Although,
So it's a really good idea by Chief Cook here.
and he did win the cat. That was probably his goal from the start, was to win that catamaran war. So he has less to worry about, at least on water. And we can see, I'm assuming he checked the deck here, but we can see Brits has no water counterplay, although he does have the Glorious Revolution in the deck, which
Keep in
sends
mind,
those texts. If you weren't aware, go ahead and pause the video.
if you don't know it yet, the catamaran can fish, and Chief Cook forgot about it, so he's missing on a trickle of about 0.3 or 0.4 food, which is
Did he?
unfortunate.
Ah, it's not. Well then. That sucks for Mr. Ringhole, but, sorry, for Mr. Cook. Saying Mr. Ringhole sounds kind of weird. I think I'm going to stop doing that. We see Cheesy here opening with the stable. And a lot of idle villagers, up to 26. And I guess he's just kind of happy. Is he taking a treasure? No. Is he... Mr. Ringhole? Excuse me. Easy.
That can happen.
Well, alright.
That's the fastest great gathering I've ever seen.
That's interesting. Oh, that's why. Hi, he's going raiding. He said, I've got all these husks. We'll have to check the postgame, because, that is something we missed entirely. I was wanting to see how long it took for him to stop being idle.
That's actually a good point. Even if he has killed like maybe 1 or 2 villagers, is it worth it knowing that he had about a minute or 2 minutes of idle time?
In
Because
terms
he
of
had,
villager
like,
seconds,
15
yeah.
villagers for 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's a massive loss in terms of raw eco gained or lost in this case. For Brits, you know, you spent all your time microing these 4 or 5 husks who are now almost all dead. And he had like at least 10 vills idle for a long time. Say that's not very cost effective. I mean, you'd have to get very nearly equal amounts of idle time plus a vill or 2 killed, and that's not something we saw. We'll see how Chief Cook here is defending against this. He does have the Cossacks, which he got from a shipment. He also sent the 13 vills. In comes 700 wood.
I think you meant 13 Strellet, because
Yes,
13 Vil would be a
13.
superb card for Russia.
It would be a fantastic... You know what? I think we should mod that into the game. I think that's completely balanced.
If Ottoman gets ASAP, I get a 13 villager card.
Yes. 13 Strelets. And those guys are somewhere. Yeah, nope, they're all dead. Okay. So the only military that Chief Cook here has is these 5 Cossacks, but he doesn't need anything. He's got vills, he's got fishing boats, 2 docks, uncontested on the water, pumping very, very easily out of both of those with distributivism and where he's got his market tax.
My man has schooners.
No.
He doesn't know how to. That's some expensive fleet right there.
It is an expensive fleet. 70 times, a 700 wood rat. That's a whole shipment. Got a whole shipment of boats out.
But it is 10 extra villagers, and
Yeah,
Russia already creates villages at about 1.5 times the rate of a normal town center. So that's a terrifyingly good eco he got there.
Yeah, he he's down on score, but Russia tends to do that. But he is up on 38 vills, and Cheesy over here, less vills. 33 vills for Brit, and 38 thanks to the boat boom for Russia. So economy looking good. Brits is aging to 3, though. Even though his deck is titled Age 2, he said, I'm not going to get enough value out of any Age 2 push, so I'm just going to go to 3. Where we see he's got a bunch of...
And we check if Cheesy knows about the water play with the fog of war.
Indeed he does.
He knows. Okay.
And
So
he's done nothing to prevent that. But we'll see.
he did, but he massively messed up because the caravel is on the north side of the map. Forgot to mount the flag.
Oh! Ah,
Sorry, Cheesy.
sorry,
That's the
Cheesy.
last minute right there.
So, yeah, so what Cheesy needed to do there was have some Hus have line of sight on the coast. For those of you who are unaware, you have line of sight on the coast. You can drop the waypoint on said coast. And that way the boat doesn't just spawn in the default locations. We see now an engagement. All Strelets and Cossacks versus all Musketeers. This is not going to go Brits' way. Looks like
I
your
think those
prediction
are
is coming true
recruits.
here, Dunamai. The Brits wanted to start Musk. He started Musk, and Russia said, "Eat my Strelet for
Those are recruits,
breakfast."
my good sir.
What?
Those are musketeers.
Oh,
Good
Jesus
old
Christ.
musketeers.
Well, there's... Okay, well... You know what? It wouldn't be a generalSpades cast if I didn't fuck up in some way. I assumed they were Strelets because there were so many of them. But no.
That's just Russia eco for you. I think he's now at, I guess, 50 or 52 villagers for
He,
Russia.
he is at 45 and sending into caravels to...
Completely normal. And he didn't mess up with the flag. He's completely blocking the way for
Yep,
that caravel.
and this caravel
It
is
has-
dead
yeah, it's
to
a guy.
rights. You're not getting out of there with your life. Sorry, guys.
You may take your fishing boat with you.
And I think Cheesy here realizing that his boat is dead and therefore going out with the blaze of glory, taking down one boat in the process, one fishing boat in the process. And
Can we see if
actually,
Chief Cook is aging up?
no. But he is
He is
getting
not.
placer mines. And I assume at some point he's going to transition more vills over to coin. Yep.
And there it is, 700 coin. Problem is the Falconet is already out. So I think it's going to be a question of mass versus tech here. That can be decided by a good Falconet micro or a good Cav micro. That can also work. So we're going to see.
We'll see if that happens. The Cav going to try and run around the backside, and doesn't look like they're going to be able to get in, but
Very good choice.
stagger mode by the recruits here, and they're going to be able to negate all the splash damage from the Falconets, and there we go. The Cossacks dive on top of the Falcons. One dead, two second shortly to follow. There it goes.
There it goes.
And Mass beats out on Mass and Micro. Better Micro with stagger mode. Beats out on, well, kind of. Veterancy as the reinforcements do show up for both players, but since they're now fighting under this Russian blockhouse, there is no hope for any of these musketeers. Even though the recruits are going to go down, I think he's probably training more Strelets now. 20 Strelets about to pop out of both outhouses, blockhouses. And now the fight is well and truly lost.
The attrition war is to the benefit of Russia. They have 57 Vil. They have access to water, so they have access to more natural resources. Their mill transition will be later. So right now, Russia, that already doesn't care about losing units, let's be honest, cares about even less about losing units. But good reflex by chasing Ringhold, getting out the Glorious Evolution, because you can get access to Rangers. That will give Brits the ability to kite that mass of unit and maybe get the attrition war back in their favor. But I would think it's a bit too little too late. Russia's economy is already like on steroids.
You know, interestingly about that, oh, well, now the scores just made a huge swing. But right before I was about to say it, Brit actually had the score lead, and, well, right prior to this big fight here in the middle. We were on 51 to 57 vills, notwithstanding extra vills being trained at the time, and now Brit losing 3 vills and suffering a ton of idle time. More falconets going to come out, but there are a ton of strelets here, and veteran musketeers are
falconets.
just not going to do it. We'll see if the falconets can get some pot shots off. That's a lot of +6s.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them there. There's more +6s, some +10s mixed in there as the recruits are going to go down, fighting underneath the tower, and Rush is going to have to back away here under the face of all those cannons. There were strelets, or there was Cav. There they are. Cav decided not to push up in that mass.
He would lose them. That's a good choice. Can we check if Russia is about to age up?
Yeah, I saw he made some units, and he is now going up with the bishop for the extra town center.
Great choice.
Yeah, just to turbocharge the eco even more, Russia on 68 versus 46, so he lost 2 more. So he lost 5 villagers, and all the idle time in that battle. So that's a huge eco swing, and now Russia, the underscoring Civ, has a very slight score advantage, and Brits is running out of time. Okay, these are musketeers, so gonna lose some more villagers there. Just, wow. He's down to 43 now, and not on the water. In fact, he's given up completely on it at this point, I imagine. Only getting a batch of 1 musketeer out.
And keep in mind, the hunts are running out, so Brits'
this is not safe.
eco is going to be only mills. And this is where Russia's choice will pay out.
That's
the thing
not
is,
safe.
Brits has 3 falconets and a huge amount of army. And if Russia cannot hold that tide, he's cooked.
Well, Russia has falconets of his own. The Hussars are going to have to... That's a little bit unfortunate with the pathing. They're running all the way around that mass. He's going to get 1, but not going to get 2. Meanwhile, there are raids taking place over here. So Brits fighting on 2 fronts very effectively. All these falcons... Oh, those are Culves. Those are Culves. Can he get the second shot off? No, he cannot get the second shot off. So Brits barely evacuating in time. 43, still only 43 vills. Russia lost a ton. Russia down to 44 vills. He loses a ton in these raids, trying to micro and not lose his Falcons. Minutemen now getting called out of this town center, I imagine. Yep. And he's going to come and try and defend this, which is a good idea. Brits still looks like he's actually only on 1 town center, which is kind of surprising, given
that was a GG raid if I ever saw one.
Is only on 12 manners right now. Yeah, oh, and here comes the Hussar, that's the word. But Russia is going to see this. Oh no. The Culves are dead. The Culves are dead. What a spot. Minutemen getting called. He's going to sacrifice these Hussar to dive into these Culves. I think this is a pretty good decision, seeing as now your 3 Falcons are in the back. Oh, there's another Falcon going down.
And the 3 Falcons are going to be killed. Oh, no, no, please. Oh, no, that's terrible.
That is brutal. So very good micro from Cheesy over here. Now the Falconets getting, there's 1 more Culve. Where did that come from?
40 HP Culve.
Oh, and it's going to get 1.
Casually.
Oh, this is insane. The Culve does not get a second shot off. It doesn't appear. Hussars coming in from the back. We've got veteran Strelets versus veteran Musketeers. This is not a fight that Cheesy wants to take. There's the Culve. Is he going to get a second one? He is. Does not quite get...
Wait, can he get a second shot?
He gets 1 more shot off. Oh my goodness. But unfortunately, for Chief Cook here, Brits does win this fight. Another Culve has popped out. Let's swap over the Chief's Cook's perspective here, and he's just, wow, spamming Bills, spamming Cossacks as fast as he can. He's on 52 Vils now. I didn't quite see how many
Good
Brits
choice on the
had.
Cossack. Completely choosing to eliminate the reinforcement rather than dying on the bulk of the army. Get a very good trade here.
And unfortunately for Brits, I think he's out of siege. Doesn't have training. Is he training more? No, he's sending in Coldstream Guards, increasing Musketeer and Grenadier attack, while Russia looks to be going more into Cossacks than he was before with a shipment, sending 7 now and upgrading them. 55 Vils versus 42. Brits has not been making Vils this entire time. And if there's a way to throw this game, that's definitely going to be one of the contributing factors, is not making Vils, thinking you can just put your opponent away when you know he's on water. And he's Russia. Like, he just gets free wood, so yes, maybe I mean, the scores are still not looking good for Brits here. You've spent a ton of resources to get this town center down, lost a ton of units. I'm not quite sure that's worth it, to be honest. Dunamai?
I don't know. This was a pretty good amount of XP. This was a pretty good amount of a lot of stuff. To be fair, Russia's still on a higher amount of villager, has access to the whales, so he's pretty much on infinite coin.
Brits now on 50. None of his villas are very safe, and still only on 1 town center.
And they're gathering from crappy resources. You have the salt mine on the east, and I don't know where he's gathering the food, but I don't think it's from... yeah, that's the last hunt.
Got some hunts up here. There was one over here that I think is long dead now, and he's being very aggressive with his vills.
Oh my god.
This is the last hunt, I believe, that is left on the map that's not... well, one of the last 2 hunts, I suppose. We could check.
If he gets away with it,
I don't...
that's fine, but...
Yeah, I think those berries, this hunt here, yeah. Not much left in the way of hunts. But I digress. There's action happening over here. There's a rogue huss.
Yeah, Russia's gathering from berries, so that's even worse.
Well, yeah, look, he's got a ton of boats up here. Got 27 boats, which he's going to end up having to delete some of those. Being as there's only 3 whales on the map, so he can only have 12 boats once all the resources, the fish resources are depleted. And now we got a bunch of veteran musketeers versus recruits and Cossacks. Musk Falk versus, with some Huss, versus Musk Huss and Kolv. A single Kolv.
That one Kolv could just completely change the game.
And it does not get a good shot off. Unfortunately, that Kolv shooting the infantry instead for finally targeting one down. One Kolv does die, second on low HP. Cossacks or Hussar going to dive in. They're going to get this Kolv down, but it doesn't matter because in terms of the Falk War, Russia massively wins this. 3 Falks going down for exactly 1 Kolv and a little bit of HP. How much HP? 36 HP on the 1 Falconet.
Okay, this is the do or die moment for Russia. Fish is running out, so he's going to have to delete 15 villagers. But he has the advantage. With 70. The last bit of food, he needs to push now.
So that would take him down to 55 vills, sending a fort to gain some map control, I am assuming. And look at this. Brits is completely off food. He's off food now. He has to go to berries. This is... You're right. This is the time. You push, you win.
Is it the fort? Is it really the fort on the right?
Yep. Yep. That is a shipment that he just sent.
The amount of respect
is severely lacking.
So damn low.
Severely lacking, one might see.
Holy cow.
The fort is going to go down. We're going to turn this on real quick and see that Cheesy Ringhold sees it.
Oh no, he's going to lose the fort.
He sees
he's
it.
He's going to lose the fort.
The Falk's going to shoot the Falks.
Oh no.
The fort's gonna go up.
My...
There's recruits. No. What?
Wait,
What?
does he see? Can you take the fog of war?
Yeah. No, he's seen it. He knows it's
No,
there.
you cannot do this.
He's not shooting it. Come
He's
on.
trying, he's trying, he's trying, he's trying.
Get in range. It's almost
The,
done.
the thought's about to go up.
Okay. One more shot.
Can he get a second shot?
He does. Can you get a... No! The fort's gonna go up. There it is. It's got half health left. Okay. Fog of War coming off. That was massively bad micro. We've seen good micro from Cheesy out here, but that was not it. We can see he's still...
Attack moved them, and
think
when
so.
the musketeers went, ahead of the fort, he mistakenly focused them.
Yep. So attack move failing there, and we can still see Cheesy over here struggling for food. Apparently sending Team Grenadier Guards with a grand total of 6 Musketeer.
For 6 Musketeers, that's really unfortunate.
That's not gonna do much there.
This is a moment you market abuse. Like, you have to. You can't just stop producing Musketeers.
And he's gonna go all in here. He wants to try and get something accomplished. Housing pop, obviously that's not gonna do anything. He's got all these. I'm assuming he's gonna make more falconets here, but across the trade post, the Culves are gonna snipe. Get 1 down, 2 down, 3 down.
Masterclass on how to put a Culve. That was it.
Wow.
Like, you cannot have a better place for a Culve.
No.
It cannot get taken out by cavalry effectively. There's no counter Culve. Like, this was textbook how you use a Culve.
What a game. Great Culve micro, I think in the end is what won the game. It was pretty back and forth. I gotta say, I didn't know who was gonna win that the entire game. Like you said, I kind of agreed early on when you mentioned that the Russian eco was gonna win them the game, but then Russia lost a big fight. It was just,
got raided like crazy. Can we check the villager?
Yeah. Well, villager pop. Yeah, so Chief Cook going from 68 all the way down to 44. But meanwhile, that entire time, Cheesy making 2 vills, 3 vills, and losing a bunch of his own.
Yeah.
If he's making vills during this time, has a second town center up, then this is a different story. And Brit, I think, ends up winning that game. But
and that's always the problem, is playing too aggressive. Like, every time you have idle vills or you miss a vill, you effectively raided yourself from a villager. And sometimes just, keeping on the defensive, focusing on what the thing you can control, like your eco, your positioning, your herding of hunts, can yield much better result than, going full Kaiser Klein on 3 Hussar and just microing them so you win that fight. Sometimes, the basics just pay off.
And that is something that is really difficult to pull off well, is just always spamming those vills. But you realize how much, when you get it right, that one game where you're like, wow, you look at the timeline, you're like, I didn't miss a single vill that entire game except for like a span of maybe like 30, 45 seconds. And like, I felt good. Like, I could pump out full batches. It's when you get it right, it's quite the incredible thing, gotta say.
Yes, sir. And that may be one of the reasons why Ottoman is so popular, if you don't forget the tax.
Yes. Okay, yeah, so I think this is this the point? No, that's a little bit early. Is this the point where we were staring at his idle vills for forever, or was that like in here? Not quite sure.
It was more about the 6-minute mark.
Yeah. So, I mean, looks like he got a decent amount of idle time in return, but...
Yeah, but think about it. Russia's lost no HP on those Cossacks. They were not out yet. he lost a lot of HP on those Hussar, and he
It's
got the
true.
same amount of idle time. So he's like, it's a net negative for Brett.
And you can see it kind of paid off in the sense that he was able to outgather early game, but a little bit too many the errors. I guess you could say the errors compounded as
Yeah,
as time went
and keep
on.
in mind that any Brits would have outgathered Russia early on anyway, with
That's
with
yeah,
the
okay.
manor house, and
That's
like
true.
regardless of that raid, if he had pulled it off or not, he would have done it anyway. That's why I was saying sometimes just focus on the basic, especially when you have a sim like Brett's
Yeah.
that really rewards you from getting the basics right.
Well, all right. Turns out this Russia favored matchup goes Russia's way. Who would have surprised? Who would have guessed? Um. Anyways, I think that's all I got for you. That's all you got. Dunamai, you got anything else you want to add? Any closing thoughts?
Bah.
Bet. All right. From the general and the sheep, we will see you in the next cast. Peace